Where did you get your education?
In Lebanon.
In Lebanon?
Yeah.
So they allow that? I mean,
Well,
can you say something more about that?
yeah. Okay. So Palestinians get. Most of the Palestinians go, or the majority of the Palestinians go and get their education in schools that are administered by the UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Work Agency. But these schools are not good. Most of the students or the Palestinians tend to ditch school, leave school in early ages because of the systems. Because we have, for example, we have big number, 55 students in one classroom. Yeah, and usually the classrooms are just very, very small. So not all the students get equal opportunities inside the classroom, which means that from 55, we end up only 5 reaching high school. Yeah. So this is serious. I'm talking serious. We had in first grade, we have 55 students, and in high school, in 12th grade, in the classroom, we only have 5, which means only 5 managed to reach high school. So this is basically how. So people who manage to reach high school and to graduate high school, and who are financially able to go to universities, go. But the ones who cannot usually just stop. Yeah, but for me, I was fortunate enough to go to a private school. I did not go to another school. Yeah, so.
Hi. I was very interested to hear you talk about settlements being there in 1948, because I thought settlements were in the West Bank. From what you said, it sounds like from the very first, when Jews were immigrating from Europe, they were placed in camps, in settlements. Is that true?
I refuse to use the word camps for the places that they were living in, because they're nothing like camps. They're nothing like camps. Because I visited the south, which is the closest point to Palestine, and I saw the settlements, and they're nothing like the camps. So, and yes, they had the settlements even before 1948. The immigration actually started in the 1800s or 1900s. They started to immigrate to Palestine and to create or to found their settlements during the British Mandate.
Having been on this tour and seeing what you've seen of North America, what would you urge citizens of the United States to do about this situation, apart from or in addition to the obvious of telling our government to stop supporting Israeli occupation and militarization and genocide? Over and above that, given what you've seen of the American political scene since you've been here, what would you urge us, citizens of the United States, to do about all this?
Well, you guys might know, of course, the main thing I want is to tell your government to stop supporting Israel and to talk about the right to return. And you guys might know that most of your taxes go to the support of Israeli government and settlements. So, I don't know, maybe you can stop paying the taxes, I don't know. Can you do that? I'm not sure if you can do it, but I don't want to be I'm telling you to do something wrong. But honestly, I don't actually know what you can do, because I don't live here. And I don't know the nature of the things you can do, but you can support any kind of resistance the Palestinians try to do, the BDS, I don't know, something like that. I hope I was able to answer your question. And don't tell anybody that I said about the taxes. I don't want to be in trouble.
Well, I was hoping you'd mention BDS at least, so
Yeah.
that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, our leverage, I guess, is the 30 and now 45 billion that we give to Israel. We've got to use that leverage, and we never do. We keep saying that settlements in Israel are wrong and should not continue and just perpetuate the conflict, but we do nothing. We don't exercise any leverage, and BDS is really important. I'm wondering, I'm really impressed. I saw this presentation in Albuquerque about a month ago, and you guys have really polished it and added a lot of information that's very helpful to the audience. Thank you so much for the work that you've done and for your traveling all these ways. We are very fortunate to have you come from where you have come, especially Mariam, for at 86 years old. It's an amazing journey for her. It was a shock to me to learn that Lebanon, living in a refugee camp in Lebanon is worse than living in Gaza, or at least as bad. And so I'm kind of wondering now, I happen to know that Mariam has a son who is autistic, and I have to wonder if living in a refugee camp like in Lebanon, is there an alternative economy? Who keeps the streets clean? Is there an alternative economy operating in the refugee camp, or is Lebanon cooperative at all in terms of providing services, or is it all international? I mean, you are stateless people who are dependent on the international community to protect your human rights, which is a difficult thing. But who helped her with any kinds of resources to help her with her child?
اوكي. اوتستيك يعني اوتستيك معناها Down syndrome. I wanted to make sure. Yeah, he has Down syndrome, not autistic. So Umm Akram, هذا إلك السؤال. تحكي إنه كيف عندي حالة؟ كيف عندي حالة؟ مش فاهم. أنت بالمخيم يعني أنت كيف قدرتي لما تطلع أبو أكرم؟ كيف كنت تشتغلي؟
بريت البيت ما اشتغلت.
So but I did not leave the house to work.
لأنه عندي ولد معاق من نوع المنغولي صار عمره 46 سنة.
Because I had a son who had Down syndrome, and now he's 46 years old, so I was not able to leave the house and work outside.
لأنه بده حدا يعوله يحكيش ويعني درجته صفر. بده مين يطعم ويسقي يفوتوا على الحمام، كل شيء بده واحد يضله انه ينتبه عليه. لاجل هيك انعرض علي شغل كثير بالوكاله، انعرض علي شغل بالهذا لاني انا بطرز بشتغل تراثنا الفلسطيني.
Shukran. So she said that she could not basically leave the house to work because he was dependent fully on her. She had to feed him, she had to take him to put him to sleep. Everything was dependent on her, so she could not leave the house to work. And she was offered to work outside the house, but she never agreed on that.
بالبيت أخيط، أنا مش خياطة يعني شاطرة، بس أقصر أطول وجوه للكنبيات وجوه للمساند وجوه للمخدات.
So I started to like stitch things or clothes inside the house without leaving the house. It was not my job, I was not specialized in doing that, but I did it in order to get money.
لما توفى أبو أكرم كان عمر محمود 9 سنين بس.
And when Abu Akram died, my husband, Mahmoud, my normal son, was 9 years old.
ربيت يعني أكيد إن أيتام، العالم يقولوا كيف يعني. تعلم محمود بالجامعة الأمريكانية، كان بالأمريكان بصيدا، انتسب للجامعة،
تعلم كمبيوتر صياني.
It was so hard for me to raise my son. It was so hard for me to cover his education fees, but I managed to let him reach university, and he actually was specialized in computer maintenance.
بس خلص مدرسة بالأونروا. أول شيء طبعا الأونروا بتعلم لحد البكالوريا الثاني. ما هي ما عم بحكي كده عيلة حالي. وتعلم من الخياطة وشغلي.
So Mahmoud, I managed to finish the education of my son only by the things that I used to stitch and the embroideries that I used to work.
تعلم مساعد مهندس أول شيء، ما صح له شغل بلبنان لأنه ممنوع غير العامل بيشتغل، ما اشتغل فيها.
And after he graduated, he tried to find a work with what he graduated his domain, but he did not find because he was Palestinian and it was allowed for him to work.
اشتغل يدرس بالكمبيوتر، يعني يشتغل على الكمبيوتر، وانتسب للجامعة الأمريكانية لوصل لدرجة إنه إعلامي صحفي.
شو اشتغل؟ أنا لحظة أنا ما فهمت.
لسه إعلامي وصحفي بيكتب يعني.
هلا أنت كيف
عجت حالي من تعب إيدي.
So at the end, she was able to raise her children with what she used to work at her house.
ما قلت لي لما أخيط، يعني مش خياطة بس مش الحال يعني.
It was not very good embroidery or stitching, but it was good enough to get me some money to my house.
خلاص شكرا.
Thank you.
She also asked about, the streets and.
How do you maintain the streets?
Oh, okay, that's what I'm going to answer. Concerning the streets in the camps, it is the responsibility of the UNRWA, but they're not doing a good job. Yeah, so it's not the responsibility of the government, the Lebanese government. Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much for coming all this way. You've taught me so many things that I had no idea. All I read was Jimmy Carter's book to find out how the Palestinians were being treated, and now you've given me more stories that I promise I'll share. My thought is, are there, they're called 501c3s, which means if we donate money to it, then we can deduct it on our taxes, subtract it. Are there any?
So donate as much as you can.
That's it. That's our. We used to have this very fine tradition of civil disobedience. So what popped into my mind was, how about a bunch of Americans who feel really guilty that there have been bombs with our names on it that went and killed those children? If we donated money to rent a house outside of the camp, could you live outside of the camp? Would you be allowed to live outside the camp?
As rental, yes. They're not.
Well, anyway, is anybody aware of a 501c3 that collects money to help the Palestinian people?
Yes.
Okay, so there is that.
Suzanne.
And then the other.
What's the name of that? Who's here? What's that?
Beirut and Beyond.
And the other question, or the other comment.
Beyond is the name of the
Beirut and Beyond.
Works with
Okay.
refugees in Lebanon.
Okay.
Palestinian refugees in Lebanon.
Okay, so there's money that you can subtract from your taxes that won't go to buy bombs for the Israelis, for the Zionists. I have to get my words right. And the other thing that we need to do is sue. I mean, it's unconscionable that we're supporting a genocidal regime with our tax money. And if you kill a child, then you have no basis. And so I look at this and I say, some kids, the Children's Trust Fund just sued and was successful. They've been coming along and suing for environmental damage. So I don't know, it's other things to think.
There is a lawsuit pending right now that was filed by a law firm, I think
It's the McMahon Law Firm on behalf of Susan Abul-Hola and other Palestinian refugees. And of course, it's going to take years. And they'll probably lose, of course, but at least, hopefully they'll get press. Hopefully the journalists will start writing about it, young lady. What's that?
Get on Democracy Now!
And hopefully, and I'm sure she's probably been on Democracy Now! By now, but yeah.
Okay, Gary Anderson, this is, many of us here, this is my own congregation, on what to do. Many people in this room are Unitarian Universalists, and something that's happening on General Assembly in June, there's a business resolution supporting that divestiture of all holdings of the 4 main corporations that are involved, that profit from the occupation. The Unitarian Universal Association has already sold off those things, but without a real statement of purpose. So if any of you are going to General Assembly or know somebody going to General Assembly, please try to be aware of the fact there'll be a vote on that topic to make that divestiture visible, linked to the Palestinian situation, not just as a business decision. So that may apply to a few folks in the room. Thanks.
Gary, does it include anything with boycott and sanctions?
No, it's narrow. To do anything at all, you need to do the surgery very precisely. And so it's divestiture from a few named firms with a moral principle about what's under the hood. But not about sanctions, not about boycotts. Try to do something is a good place to start.
What are the 4 main countries?
Oh, thanks, Lois. Caterpillar, Motorola, G4S, Hewlett Packard. Yeah.
So if there's someone from BDS here, maybe they can answer this question. But one of the criticisms I've heard about BDS is it's really focused on the occupation of Gaza and the West Bank, and hasn't really addressed too much the issue of the refugee and the right to return. So I thought I'd throw that out there, and maybe there's someone in the audience that might be able to chime in on that. So.
Well, I can say something. First of all, it's implied because BDS, the goal of BDS is for Israel to comply with international law, which would include the right of return. And of course, they don't stipulate a 1-state or a 2-state solution. They don't want to take that step. Not because they're opposed to taking that step, but because Israel would use it, would find a way to use, like if they said they wanted a single state, Israel would, as they're doing now, would claim that, well, that's because they want to destroy the Jewish people. So, but BDS, it's implied in that international law is the primary goal, which would imply the compliance with all UN resolutions, Resolution 194, 242, and the Geneva Conventions.
I would just like to say that as someone who's been involved with BDS pretty extensively, it definitely does. It does include the right of return. There's no question about it. And but what I'm interested in is finding out if the 3 of you are related, and if not, how did you get together?
Okay, no, we're not related. None of us knows that. I've known like Umm Akram just like a month before coming to the United States, and I met Samir the day I arrived to the United States. Yeah. And what happened is that they wanted to, the organizer of the tour, Paul LaRudy, he talked to me while he was back in Beirut, and he said that we're gonna do this tour, and he wanted a Nakba survivor. So I started to look in all the camps for a Nakba survivor who's able to do this trip, because it's really something tired for someone who's in their, like in 68, over 68. They must be over 68 in order to do it. And Akram was 86 years old. She left Palestine when she was 18, and she was in perfectly good health, mashallah. And then we met, just like that, and became friends.
So you're not a granddaughter?
No, we're not. We're not related. Yeah.
Joseph?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for spreading the awareness. What has happened to the Palestinian people is very similar to what has happened here to the indigenous peoples of Turtle Island, North America, and the Western Hemisphere. Mass genocide, occupation, and forced relocation. People were put into concentration camps. And now they're called reservations, but it's the same thing, the concentration camps in all of these countries in the Middle East. My question is, because there's limited movement for the people living in these concentration camps in Lebanon and elsewhere, it's very difficult for people to organize amongst the camps. So there can be some solidarity, organization, and to have a concrete plan so return can possibly happen.
No, actually, it's not possible to have any kind of organization between the camps because Lebanon is basically so small, and like I can reach the other camp just like 5 minutes in the car. So it's not hard at all to find any kind of organization. But this thing is just exceeds the power of the Palestinians and the refugees. They can go like, I don't know if you guys know about this, but back in 2011, there was what we know the march back to Palestine or to Jerusalem. So people thought, when they knew about this march, they actually thought that we're going back to Palestine. Some people, I swear, wallahi, they took some of their clothes with them and some of their things they had at home because they thought that they're going back to Palestine. I swear, I saw people more than 86 years old just crawling because the buses, we went to the south of Lebanon, it was like all mountains. And the buses could not move to the point that we had to reach. So 86-year-old men and women were just crawling to go back because they thought they're going back. So people want to go back. You cannot imagine how much they want to go back. Some kids, they were just 17 and 18 died. They were trying to cross the fence. They wanted to go into Palestine and they were killed because they were trying to reach their land. So people want to go back. But it's something that is stronger than the Palestinians in the refugee camps. It's not about them. There was like more than, back in that time, like more than 50,000 people were part of this march. All of them just went to the south because we thought, I swear, I still remember that I said goodbye to my friends in the school. I was in high school in 12th grade and I told them, I'm going back to Palestine, I'm not gonna see you again. I told them that, I said goodbye for them. But the next day I went back to school.
Sajid?
Well, I know all of us here really are very grateful to you who are in the Nakba tour. Thanks for coming to Denver and speaking to us. There was a question about BDS, the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement, and I just I'd suggest that if you are interested in what we do here locally in BDS, sign up with any of the three groups. Colorado Friends of Seville and Coloradans for Justice in Palestine and the Front Range chapter of Jewish Voice for Peace are all heavily involved in boycott, divestment, and sanction here. Was it a week ago or 10 days ago that many of us were down at the RE/MAX headquarters in the Denver Tech Center at a RE/MAX shareholders meeting. And we made an impression. So boycott, divestment, and sanctions is alive and well in Denver, and we invite anyone here who isn't involved yet in this movement to join us.
Yeah. Sajid, do you or does someone familiar with that want to say something a little bit about some of the progress that's been made in BDS, corporations or whatever that have recently taken actions consistent with that?
Well, it's a big movement that involves, it's not just one movement, it's many movements. And Jan, would you like to say a little about that?
I wanted also to
mention the threat to the BDS movement from our own Colorado legislature. This past year, they passed a bill that prohibits PARA from investing in companies that boycott Israel. And I don't think that this is probably the last thing that they will want to try to pass through the legislature. So we are working to try to educate the legislature more about this issue and about the threat that that presents, because the right to boycott is sort of a basic right of freedom of speech. And so already that's been eroded by our state legislature. So that's another issue that you could get involved with, and you can hear more about that if you signed up on any of our lists.
Jan, has a group considered some kind of legal action because that is an interference with free speech?
That's not clear yet. This is happening across the country. 35 state legislatures have passed similar laws. And so I'm not sure about the status of that, but I'm sure that that's being looked at. The ACLU of Colorado opposed the bill in Colorado, and I don't know what the possibilities would be for a lawsuit.
Hi, before I ask my question, I thought I'd just mention that the manner in which Israel drove out the Palestinians was loosely based on the way the Germans dealt with Jews during the Shoah, or what's commonly known as the Holocaust. And the manner in which the Germans executed the final solution was taken from the way the United States dealt with the indigenous population when they populated North America. The question I wanted to ask was, does it instill in you any hope that, knowing that by 2044, the power dynamic will shift in Palestine from Israeli dominated to Palestinian?
Are you talking about majority?
By 2044, it said the fertility rates among Palestinians are significantly higher than Israelis. So by 2044, Israel will either not exist in the sense that the way that we know it now, or it will have to exist as an openly apartheid state. Not that it is already, but...
You're just saying a fact.
Well, no, are you hopeful, knowing that by then the dynamic may shift
Well, actually,
drastically?
when you have, like, the whole world is just against you, and all the organizations, international organizations, are against us. So we do have hope in that. We actually have hope in our fertility. Yeah, yes. No, it's true.
Yeah, there's one way.
That's why the Palestinians have like 14 and 15 kids. Yeah, that's a way of resistance. That's a way of resistance. Oh yeah. Umm Akram was once telling us that they use about why the Palestinians use or have so many kids. Well, part of it is because they wanted to be more than the settlers and than the Israelis. And the other part was because they always assumed that one of these is going to die, is going to be killed. So, in order to have someone else. Yeah, as a backup. Yeah, that's true. That's how they think. So, as I said, it is a form of resistance. It's not, we're doing it just like that.
In other words, they can bomb and they can kill, but they're never going to die.
No, we're not going to die.
The cause is never going to die. It's going to live.
That's true. And that's why we were like 750,000 Palestinian refugees in 1948, and now we're 7 million.
I'm proud of it.
Sorry, everybody, I hope I'm not too greedy asking a second question, but you mentioned a whole bunch of place names and dates and particulars. Is there anywhere we can go where we could get proper spellings and particulars of date and Is there a documentation for this tour so that we can know the names of the refugee camps and find them on maps and be able to tell our friends, these place names and dates and so forth that you mentioned orally?
Okay. My friend is going to answer because all of the things, or the resources I have are mostly in Arabic, so I think she's
okay.
So there's a few places. I teach at DU, and these are some of the places I use during my classes. One of the greatest sites is Visualizing Palestine. And another place, believe it or not, is an Israeli source. It's Beit Salim. They have great resources.
That's good.
Beit Salim. It's an Israeli human rights group. And they have a lot of, believe it or not, original maps, original documents, the UN resolutions she referenced, and many other things along those lines. They also reference a lot of other websites and resources for you to use from Visualizing Palestine and from Beit Salim. So those are two really good sites for you.
Spell it. Spell it. B-A-L-T.
No, it's
B'-T-S-E-L-E-M. B'Tselem. B'-T is in Tom, S is in Sally, E-L-E-M.
And there's another one, its name is Zokorot.
Right.
I don't know if you know about that. Zokorot is also,
Remembering.
Yeah, exactly. This is also an Israeli actually site, but it has so good information concerning the villages and the cities that were destroyed and occupied back in 1948, and they have so many maps and names. Even they still have the Arabic names of the places. You can use it. Zokorot is Z-O-C-H-O-R-O-T.
I don't think there's the first O there.
Okay, Z-O-C-H.
But the particular ones from your personal stories is kind of what I'm...
Sorry?
The particular names of camps from you all's personal stories is kind of what I'm...
You can actually just go to Wikipedia.
They have these the names of the camps.
Okay.
These websites, and there's another website that I can. I don't have it right now with me, but I can give it to someone, and he might or I can give it to you after we finish.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't remember it right now, but I have it.
You can post it on the Facebook.
Yeah, or we can post it on the Facebook page. Yeah, we can post all these websites on the Facebook page. Yeah, and you can get all these things. And this site that I have, it's a Palestinian site. It's for a Palestinian historian, and he has all the maps of Palestine before the 1948. He has all the information about the refugee camps on his website. So I'll post them on the Facebook page. It's North American Nakba Tour.
North American Nakba Tour.
North American Nakba Tour. You can follow it, and we're gonna post everything tonight.
All right. I first want to commend both Amina and Mariam. For them, it's been a very courageous journey, and it takes a lot of stamina. They have a long way to go, actually, still.
It's not so long.
And we want to thank them very much for appearing for this program.
Here.